Got the back seat out of the car, and besides the fact that there's wires all over the place, there's a hole in the middle. We got 16 inches across, which is, I guess that's a minimum. I'm looking from where this bolt goes in, which is the bolt for the seat belt, to the front here where the supports were for the clasps that just held the cables down. This 2 inches of angle on the front gives it some structure. So if I'm keeping the front, I'll probably keep these 2 inches as well. 16 inches is bigger than the batteries are in height or in depth. So I think it's reasonable that 16 inches will be good enough for getting the batteries in and out. The height is a little bit of an issue. I measure about 8 inches for the height of this seat, and the batteries are just over 9, probably 9.5, including the connections. So I have to do a little bit of work underneath the car to find out whether I need to take this panel out and increase the height a little bit, so that the battery connections can actually protrude, cover them with something that's insulating. The other thing is, of course, I want the box to have insulation in it and a heater, so the 8 inches of depth just isn't enough. I guess I'm going to have to find out from the bottom whether I can fit everything on the bottom, which I think is not really practical, or whether I'm going to have to cut this out, which I believe is the way it's going to end up going. I will leave the back seat, the vertical part of the back seat. These also flip down for getting cargo in. I'm going to see if perhaps I can keep the batteries underneath this edge or forward of that edge, so that the seats still fold down and I can transport some small amount of cargo in here that's longer than 42 inches or 46 inches, whatever I can get into the trunk and the width. It would be nice to be able to use this car to transport some parts that are a little bit longer, like a shelf or whatever. Anyway, that's about it. I think I'm going to end up cutting this out anyway, so maybe I will just start doing that, and then we can do the measurements from the top, because doing the measurements from underneath is just a little bit uncomfortable. So here we have the bottom cut out, or most of the bottom cut out of the seat, back seat of the Mazda. Here you can see the Sawzall was going through in this manner, right? Well, that's what I assumed, and that's what I measured for, but what I was actually doing is cutting like this, because it's cutting away from me and it's awkward. I ended up cutting 2 lines just under here, which I had actually measured for, and I was trying to avoid hitting, but such was not the case. I'll show it to you here. So those are the lines I cut through, and now I'm about to step on the brakes and find out if there's going to be brake fluid squirting all over the place, or if I cut through the gas lines, which were already disconnected from the gas tank. The lighting is not very good, but I can't. My tripod's not short enough to get into there. So here I am pressing on the brake. I still feel pressure, so I suspect that I did not, in fact, cut through the brake lines. I don't see any fluid squirting out, so that's very good. So this box was roughly scrapped together. It is 13.5 inches long, which gives me room to do the lugs on the batteries. It is 24.25 long, which includes the bolt on the end of the rack. I guess I should have said 13.5 inches wide or deep. And we're 10 inches tall. We need 9.5. So this is approximately the size that the battery pack is, with no modifications at all. There were no better place packs. So I'm going to see if I can fit 2 of those into the back seat, not instead of a crosswise, we're going to try and do it front to back. The way we're going to try it is the back part, just at the back of the seat there, we're going to cut through the front underneath here and get the batteries down to the floor level, and then just continue the floor on up underneath the battery pack. And that looks like it's going to fit nicely. I'm not touching any area that has brake cables or hydraulic lines or anything like that. And I'll be able to do one on this side and one on that side. So one behind the driver, one behind the passenger, and I can leave this center tunnel for the cables to go up to the front, which is fine. Put a little bit more beefy supports in there, U-channel probably, and that will get me 2 of my battery packs. The third battery pack is probably going to end up going in the trunk. Here's the second battery pack. You can see in that side that I do have it cut out. Yep. And that if I just come up to there and not have any further cutting, that it does indeed clear the center bulge, if you want to try our center tunnel. And now we'll go back to the back. So I haven't taken the speaker out, or the amp. I haven't taken the CD changer out, but even beside the CD changer, I've got 24 inches that this can fit into, and bolt the pack into the floor. In front here is where the spare tire used to be, but I won't be using that space. It's just not shaped correctly for me, especially with that big bulge in the middle. But it's a little further behind the back wheels. I really didn't want to put any weight behind the back wheels if I had any choice.